Hi, Elaine. My name is Denise Langley, and I'm a student at Regent University. And I am taking my master's program in human services and focusing on family counseling. And so for today, I'm asking that you participate in my video for my class 524 counseling skills. I need to let you know that this information will be shared with the professor and perhaps some of my colleagues. However, the information is confidential. Now, if there's something serious about, life or death, and, I may have to share that. But other than that, this is maintained confidential between me, professor, and maybe a few of my colleagues. Okay, and the purpose of it is just to make sure that I am learning the skill set that we're being taught, and one of them is feelings and the attending skills. Okay? All right, so you ready?
Yes.
You comfortable?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's start. So, Elaine, tell me what's going on with you. Why are we here today?
Why are we here today? Well, I recently dealt with some pain in my body, and I am now receiving the fact that I may have to undergo surgery.
Oh, okay. So, how you feeling about that?
So, I'm not really scared. I don't want to spend any more money. But overall, I'm kind of content with the concept of, sometimes when I'm in pain, I like to use the words, get it out of me. So.
What is that term again?
Get it out of me.
Get it out of you. Okay.
So,
Tell me about that.
Usually if I'm in pain of any sort, it's like, I'll give you an easy example. I used to have the allergies really bad. And my eyes used to itch really bad. And I would be like, oh my God, I just wish I could take my eyeball out, get out the, whatever's causing the allergic reaction of the itch, and then put my eyeball back in. But we weren't made like that, so I had to deal with eye drops and taking whatever medicine that was allotted to me. So in this case, of course, this is more strategic, or I don't know. But it would have to be an incision because the gallstones cannot come out on their own, so they want to remove my gallbladder.
Okay. I'm so sorry that you have to have the surgery. No one wants to have any invasive procedures done. But are you, and I heard you say that you like to use the term get it out of me. Tell me, where did that come from?
I think it's the concept of wishing that it was a quick fix.
Oh, okay.
Without the actual pain or precision or process.
Okay.
Just wishing that it could be like, just almost like the concept when you're writing a paper. I wish it just came to me, it would just flow out of me. And that doesn't happen for me. Some people it does.
Okay.
It takes time.
Okay. All right. Are there any concerns that you have surrounding the surgery?
No, just as long as nothing goes wrong. But there's no worry that I have right now. I don't know if it's because it's fresh. I'm not going to go seek out information of things going wrong either. I don't want to create a worry. I just want to make sure that I can financially handle it. Okay. And then the other portion is to make sure I'm prepared for it. So I still have to meet with a surgeon, so nothing has been solidified as of yet.
Okay. So I heard you say to make sure that you could pay for it. Is that a concern or worry for you?
I think my thing right now is that I feel like the way that healthcare is treated is it's more than a me problem. I feel like it's an American problem. And so even though I just want to make sure that my coverage is fully covering the surgery, and because gallbladder is it's not a necessity surgery all the time. Okay. I'm not sure if it will cover. So there's some research that I then have to do on my hands. Okay. And because I've been stuck with other medical bills from situations from before, maybe things that I wasn't fully prepared for. Okay. Excuse me, or just things that I was just like, oh, I didn't know this was going to be this much money. So I've paid off medical bills before, but my recent one is just a little high, and I'm just like, oh, I don't really feel like being bothered. Added with the effect that other bills don't stop either. If one bill stops so another one could be paid, that would make life so much easier for many people.
It would make life easier for many people, wouldn't it? So, okay, let's talk about this though. So, if you are planning to have the surgery and your concern is the cost, do you have any plans of how you may offset this for you?
So that's the thing. Right now, I don't have a backup plan. To be literal, I have savings bonds. Those things that are almost partly extinct.
Yeah,
I do have those. So if life really got the word tumultuous, I don't know if that's a word. I believe it is. If life really got that hard, then I do have a backup plan.
Okay.
And I have a little bit of money in my 401k, but that is supposed to be for me living a long time. And that's what I would like the savings bonds to be for too. But if it was really bad, there is a way out. It's just savings bonds are a process as well. They can take as long as the process for getting the surgery done, because it has to go through the banking system and everything, because it's not easy to cash them out anymore as much as they used to be.
So it sounds like you are concerned about the financial piece of it. However, it sounds like you may have some possible resolution for it. So that's not something that you would have a long-term worry about. Tell me about what support systems you will have in place after you have the surgery.
So first off, thank God I have both of my parents.
That's great.
And I can call both of them to come. I know my mother will really care. My father will show concern some and then show a lot when it actually happens.
Okay. All right.
His reactions sometimes are almost delayed.
Okay.
Okay, now you care. Okay. But I know he cares. It's just his personality.
Okay.
So I received that about him. So my parents are there, but then I also have a great support system with my friends and with my work staff.
Okay.
So with the people I work with, so I know that there's not a place where I would be left alone or by myself. I just have to make sure I tell people, which is usually my weakness. Not because I'm so secretive, I'm more so forgetful.
Oh. Tell me a little bit more about you being so forgetful.
So there are times where some people are like, well, I didn't know. Oh, when this all kind of came crashing in, sort of say, whatever, there'll be this dramatic portion of what I could say. So when I was dealing with the pains, I thought they were gas pains.
Okay.
And then when it got excruciating, but this was almost after a month of having them off and on, because it wasn't every day. It wasn't like I was having horrible signs. So I'm just like, take some gas X and, relax, hot water, and be okay. But when it kept coming back and it came one day really bad, that's when I went to the doctor and they thought it was acid reflux.
Okay.
And so the reason that situation connects with the forgetful part is because I went in the hospital with my roommate. She took me. And then while I was there, I made sure my mother knew. And I made sure that I think I texted 3 close friends. I asked my roommate to text them for me because I was in a lot of pain. And then I forgot to tell almost anybody else.
Okay.
So unless my roommate texted them, a lot of my friends didn't know until later. And maybe if I would say something real quick, or if one of the friends from the group text told somebody else, then somebody else would know. But I'll forget, not forget the moment. I'll just forget to relay the information. And so that's something I just have to be mindful of, because people feel some type of way sometimes when you forget to tell them important moments.
Okay. And
with me being in emergency room, I'm not in emergency room often. So for them, I know for any close friends or family, they would feel like, how dare you not tell me? Okay. So I did tell. I told my cousin. She would have had a fit if I didn't. So I told a few people, but there were a few others that were concerned when they found out. They were like, "Oh, you okay? Is there anything we can do? Are you sure you don't need help?" So I just have to remember not to be forgetful, because I know people who care. Those who care sincerely care. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm glad that it sounds like you have a great support system, that people that want to hear about what's going on in your life and want to be a part of that. Do you have any anxious feelings about sharing that personal information with them when you're talking about your health, or was it just because you was just in so much pain
when I was in emergency room at night, I remember, because one of my friends in Virginia, I didn't tell him, and I talked to him about a lot of stuff. He knows a lot of stuff about my life. And I said, I forgot his name. That it literally was just that. The first 3 people that popped in my head. Okay. My roommate texted them, and so I think I don't really have. I don't think I'm scared to share this information. Because I want people to be prayerful. I believe in God, and I believe that that healing is possible, and I believe that God uses the doctors as well as the power of God that can heal me. Okay. So because of that, I have no problem with believing that. And I'm like, if He's healed me from other little things, then He can keep me in this. So that's how I view it.
So it sounds like you're going in with this with a really strong sense of security and what God can do.
Yes. Now, I've shared this.
Okay.
So what's very interesting is I remember being in the emergency room that night. And I remember, so I have this thing where I believe sometimes when your pain is heightened physically, it makes you more sensitive to God, if you believe in Him, or to like the spirit realm.
Okay.
And so, and I'm not saying like spooky stuff happened. I'm just saying it just makes you more sensitive. So while I was in the emergency room, I remember hearing the thought, I'm going to use you to be a testimony. Now, I didn't know what other pieces were coming with this.
Okay.
All I knew was, okay, you're going to use me to be a testimony. So I don't know how long this testimony is going to last. I don't know what parts or pieces of this testimony, because testimony is a story of going through but overcoming.
Right.
And so some people have long testimonies, some people have short ones. I didn't know what type of one this is going to be. So I'm still in the middle of my testimony.
Okay.
But I believe that I will overcome because that's what a testimony is.
Okay.
So,
So have you had other testimonies in the realm of healing before?
Yes. So this some of my I won't put a limit on them.
Okay.
But I've had one. I remember I was in college and I asked Lord to really heal me from allergies. Okay. I said, I've heard stories of people being healed from cancer. I've heard stories of people being healed from like HIV. Okay. I've heard like where people literally going back and said, I don't see a trace of it. Okay. In your bloodstream. And I know somebody like that who was born with it.
Oh, wow.
And so when I hear these stories and know of these things, I was like, well, if God can do that, like, why? Okay. So that my theory was, I'll ask Him to help me with my allergies. Can you help me from allergies? Because mine will get really bad here in my eyes, my throat here and there. And literally, I would say I asked maybe back in 2003, 2004, and literally probably about 5 years for allergy medicine.
Oh,
no Benadryl.
That's a blessing.
No nothing. And the reason why I say probably 5 years, I'm not saying that God went back on His healing or changed His mind. I moved. I was in New York when it happened. Okay. And I just believe that God kept me. And even to this day, even when I have small moments of like, oh, my nose is running, oh, it's just allergies, it never has been as strong as it was during that time throughout my childhood. It never has come back to that capacity. And so even the little moments, I'm just grateful, because I'm like that. Even though there's something small or somebody says, oh, your body changes, you hear all these things. Right. I take it as just being a blessing, because I believe that the Lord does hear our prayer.
It does. So it sounds to me that you have a very strong faith in God. Share with me about your faith walk with Him.
So I think I'm strong in some things and not so strong in other things, because I'm human. I'm human first.
Yes, we all are.
And I believe that we're spiritual beings too, but I believe the human part of us is very much present. So with that being said, different situations I've encountered, I have to always try to refocus. And sometimes that's not easy to do. Okay. For me, sometimes that's not easy to do. I probably have this is probably funny you ask this question. I probably have a stronger faith in God for my health than I do for my finances.
Really?
And that's not based upon like, I don't know. It's not based upon anything like I have a job, I pay bills. It's like, but it's just that I think, well, I don't trust the government that much either.
But I'm going to ask you, can you tell me, let's talk about that a little bit more, because that's very interesting. So you say that you have faith for healing, but not the same level of faith, if I understood what you're saying, with your finances.
Right.
And so the reason that is why?
So I think part of it is because I struggled so long to get a job that matched what I went to school for, or even the income of loans.
Okay.
Just to balance that out. And so, of student loans. And so I think that sometimes when I put the capacity of how much is pulled out for our daily living, or our weekly or monthly or yearly living, versus how much we can receive, not just for myself, but for a lot of people, I feel like it's such an imbalance. And I feel like you have to almost, I don't want to say fight, but in a theoretical sense, you're fighting for you to get more out of your money. And some of us enjoy the jobs that we do. It's not necessarily saying we want to have a job that pays blah, 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 blah money, but it's just like, why does this have to cost so much more than the income that it matches it? It's more so that concept. And that's why I said the little joke about the government, because I feel like personally that because I believe strongly in healing, I believe that's a God thing. I believe that God he uses the doctors, but he can also override the power of the doctors and do miracles and signs and wonders. But when it comes to money, he has to kind of like mess with technical things to get money to even out right.
Okay.
So it's not that I don't have faith in God when it comes to money, because I do believe that he's a provider.
Right.
And I do believe that he gives favor. But I think it's just, that was a struggle. I haven't struggled as much in my health. And for somebody else, it might be a totally opposite thing. But I haven't struggled as much in my health. And I've seen miracles. I think that's another thing that strengthens my faith with health. Okay. It's because I've seen a lot of health miracles. Okay. Like, I've seen people, and maybe not right in front of my face like they miraculously, can walk and couldn't walk before. But just, they were in the hospital for one thing, and when they went back to the hospital, that which they were there for was no longer there. Or they had, like, a friend of mine had meningitis, and he was already sick with other things, and he still lived past the situation with meningitis, where a lot of people, especially younger people who didn't get the right shots before, would die from meningitis. So, like, hearing those stories, I know, like, the power of God is real. But that's just my experience. So, financially, I believe the Lord is helping me trust him more financially. Okay. And all of these situations are playing a part in that.
So do you find yourself having a little difficult time in trusting him in the financial area, or?
Yes, because I don't want to be in debt all my life. And debt kind of becomes it's easier to swipe a card and look at the bill later. Yeah. And so I don't want that to be my go-to. I don't want that to be the thing 5 to 10 years from now. I'm still dependent on that same thing. But I also don't want to use up all my savings bonds. That's supposed to be there to be secure. So it's like, okay, what's happening in the everyday, the middle ground? And so it's practicing better financial upkeep with myself, but then also believing God for more as well. Okay.
So what do you think so I just heard you say that it's the financial upkeep, right? And then trusting God more. So do you think that as you're moving in that arena, that, because I hear really strong about your faith in healing, like you really seem very calm and confident that, you say I have to have surgery, okay, we can do this. I've seen God heal and do some miraculous things. But the other side of it, with the finance part, I would like to see that same excitement of faith in it. So outside of what you're doing, is there anything else that you think you need to do in that arena for your financial situation?
They're actually, I literally was thinking about this stuff last night. Okay. Not about the surgery. Okay. Because I didn't know if that was definite. All right. But I was thinking about financial things of how I could just better myself. So I've been trying to be careful with how much money I use every day. And then also paying more attention to the aspect of how can I strategically set up these bills or whatever, thing like that. So some of it, I am personally looking at doing a personal loan, because I know that personal loan can help credit if they know if your credit score, people know that you're using it for debt consolidation.
Right.
And so these are little things that I want to do to help that, so that I can focus on paying off the other hospital bill, or I can focus on putting more money to pay off student loans.
Okay.
As much as I don't want to pay them sometimes. And that's just a personal feeling, nothing mean. But that's just me. So I'm trying to figure out ways for re-navigate what I'm doing with my money that I do have, but the money that I do see every week or every 2 weeks, making sure that, okay, let me re-navigate that so that I can take care of this. Because I just don't want to be in debt. And it does affect me because I believe my dad is not always the greatest with money, and I've watched it.
Okay.
As, from their childhood to adulthood, you see other things that you never saw. And I was just like, oh, man. I really can't be in debt when I get older, because it just feels worse than it does now.
So tell me a little bit more about that. You say that you've seen your father with, you saw your father with financially. Tell me a little more about it.
Like, okay, I'm going to say we both have a card that is similar from a bank. He has one card, I have another, but it's the same bank. So when we used to come to mail, we'd be looking like, well, whose bill is this? I'm like, that's not good that this is even a situation. And my father and I are about 40 years apart. So it's like, why is this a situation? But it's realizing that not just him or me, but I feel like a lot of people can get in the redundancy of depending on something else. It's like, well, I have the money to pay the bill, but you're not paying it off. It's not disappearing. It's not going away. And though, thank God, I paid off a card before. Mm-hmm. I paid off cards before. It's just that I don't want this to become a habit. So I'm more interested in breaking the habit than building it. So I think twice, like those beautiful coupons that come in your email address, because you can save 20% off this and 50% off that and whatever, especially if it's the holidays. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, you don't have that much money. And just because you save 50% off doesn't mean you're actually saving money. Mm-hmm. You're spending money to say you save money. Mm-hmm. And that's not always wise, especially when you later are paying on interest rates. So
true. Those interest rates can get you. Okay. So it's very interesting to hear the difference between I know God is a healer, mm-hmm. and I don't know about this, this financial thing, because debt seems to be heavy on you. Mm-hmm. Have you seen someone successfully manage, in your mind, what does it look like to successfully manage finances for you?
Well, that's something I have to really think about. Because, okay, so I'll give you an example. My mother does it really well, but I feel like it almost is natural for her.
Okay.
I can't say exactly why. I don't know all her financial story. That's not a conversation we personally share. I know pieces of it, not all of it. Mm-hmm. But she's always been the one that's been good with money.
Okay.
I think the traits, I picked up some of the traits from my father, where I'm not always the best with money, but I'm always a giver. My mother's a giver. And so it's just like, she was like, I think this might be partly my fault. I said, don't blame yourself. I'm an adult. I had to own up to my own mistakes.
Okay.
But yeah, I do like giving to people because I see that it's a blessing to give. Mm-hmm. And helping people. That's a big thing for me. So with that, seeing somebody who manages your money, I don't know. I spoke with my mentor. I have a mentor in Maryland, and she just was trying to give me like little pointers. She's the one who did encourage me to do personal loan.
Okay.
And she just was telling me different little things to do. Put my credit cards in the freezer, and I really have to do that. Okay. And just little things she was trying to encourage me to do. So I don't know how I really haven't seen anybody like plan out their finances. Okay. I've heard little stories or talked with friends about it, but to like literally see somebody take money and break it down and then try to keep up with their saying that, I really haven't seen that before me. Mm-hmm. I just know people are like, who are good with money, and then people who are just not as good.
Okay. Tell me whether or not you pray about your finances. Because I hear you, earlier you said, you pray about your healing and your health. Do you pray about that aspect of your life?
So, I do pray. Let's see. I pray about them. It's very interesting. So I believe strongly in paying tithes. Mm-hmm. And I believe like in a form, I feel like in paying your tithes is a faith move.
Yes.
So it's saying, I believe God that when I give this 10% to God, that He will provide for the rest. Mm-hmm. So that part of my prayer life is secure, mm-hmm. but it's like, so are we really believing God for the rest, or are you believing that your credit card will help you for the rest? And that's where it gets touchy, because then I'm like, so that faith walk in your tithes, I believe that's a good thing that I do as a steward. But there are other areas where I'm like, okay, you need to budget better. Okay. Or you need to stick with what you said you're not going to do.
Okay.
Which I'm not always good at, because I say, gotta eat. Girls gotta eat. So
yes, the girl does.
So my prayer for finances is probably not as strong, because I become dependent on whatever's there. Or to be honest, I just worry mentally. Okay. So I don't look like I'm like, oh my God, I'm not begging anybody for money. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh, that's on mine. Let's turn up in the music car and act like we don't think we can't hear that thought.
Oh, let's talk about this worry. How is that affecting you?
It's not good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good.
Tell me a little bit more.
I think that worry makes it hard to keep faith. Okay. So with that being said, I don't know. I don't know if it's me saying, okay, I'm just not gonna worry. I'm just gonna believe God all the way. That stuff all sounds good, but that's not realistic in most days.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know how to re-navigate the worry. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I understand. So what I'm hearing you saying is you're worrying, but you don't know how to turn that around. Mm-hmm. You don't know how to change that. So if you're worrying, do you think, and we all know that worry and stress can have an impact on our health.
Right. Yeah, so it comes full circle.
Right. So do you think there's a correlate mm-hmm. between your worry? Because when we talked about that financial piece in the beginning, and then your health. Do you think that is having the direct impact on that?
I don't know. I should be more secure financially. Like, I feel like I should be more like, oh, God's going to do it because He did it before. Does that make sense? Like, mm-hmm. He has made a way before, so why should you worry this time? It's like, but it's a new situation. And you know what it is? It's the worry concept of I wish I didn't have to think about it. Mm-hmm. So if I go pray about it and say, okay, I trust God, I'll start making moves. But then when it doesn't go away soon enough, it's like, this isn't working out. And I become frustrated, mm-hmm. Again. Mm-hmm. Or worried again, or whatever like that. Mm-hmm. So it's not a carried on worry. It just comes and goes. And so prayer helps, but like in the human, like I said, I'm very, very much so human. The other part of it is like, oh, they'll work itself out. Or eventually to come together. And that becomes very mystical, because what does eventually look like?
Yeah.
The unknown, or the hopeful. When the active part of it is just I have to keep working at it, mm-hmm. so it doesn't go away. So that's the part of life I don't like. Yeah. That trial is gonna go away.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanna thank you for sharing that, because I know that wasn't easy, right?
Oh, it's not easy.
It gets to the crust of it, and so you tear up. So do you mind if I pray with you?
That's okay. I don't mind
so
praying.
We can pray about that. I believe God for your health. I believe God for your healing. And I also believe God to give you clear direction mm-hmm. about your finances, so that you won't have to worry so much about that situation, right?
Thank you.
Because we don't want God doesn't want us to worry. That's not the design, right? He really wants us to take our cares and our burdens to Him.
Right.
And then we're to leave them there. So no matter what it is, okay, that's what we're supposed to do. So I want to say thank you for sharing, but I want to pray with you.
Okay.
God, I thank you and I praise you and I glorify you for Elaine, God. God, I thank you for this precious jewel, God, that trusts and believes in you, oh Heavenly Father. So, God, I ask that you touch her body right now. Heal her, God, from the inside out, God. Give her guidance and direction of the doctors that she should talk with and surgeons, God. And if she has to have the surgery, God, we thank you for the right surgeons, God. We thank you for the right nurses, every tech, God, everybody that touches her body, God, that comes near her, God, that you, oh God, will just touch them and bless them and guide them and direct them to be able to do what they need to do on Elaine's behalf. Now, God, I also ask that you just bless her, God, with her financial situation, Lord. You know what the deal is, God, and you know what she is worried about, Father. So, God, I ask you, oh God, to help her, God, and I stand with her as she casts her care unto you, God. For, God, you care about us so much, Lord, that you said all we have to do is just cast it on to you. So, God, I just pray, God, that Elaine has the strength to cast it and that she will just trust and believe in you, that you will guide and direct her, God, as how she should spend her money, how she should save her money, God, what bills need to be paid, oh Heavenly Father. Show her, God. Give her the master plan that you have for her financially, God. And I thank you in advance for strengthening her faith in you. I thank you in advance, oh God, for just doing only what you can do, God, which is to give her peace beyond all understanding, Father. And so I thank you for her. I praise you for her, God. I thank you, God, for her testimony as she talked about that you said you're going to give her, God, not just in the healing realm, God, but the testimony that she will have about her financial situation and how you showed her what to do, God, and how she followed your word and direction, God, and how you then, oh God, lined everything up and you did the supernatural as only you can do. So I praise you, God, in advance. I thank you, oh God, for what you've done. We love you, God, and we glorify you. And it is in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.